Chiefs Kingdom, we have some breaking news to get you here on today's Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Jace Andrews. And well, Jerick McKinnon may actually be returning for the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 58. We got this absolute bombshell from Ian Rapoport saying today, a potential addition for the Super Bowl. Chiefs running back Jerick McKinnon has been designated to return off injured reserve. His practice window is not open. Now, this does not confirm that he is back, but it is a huge reset to potentially having him in Las Vegas next Sunday. Now, why is this so big? Well, because the Chiefs have been going with Isiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then LaMichael Pirine, who I will remind you did not make the starting roster at the beginning of the year. It was Pacheco, McKinnon as the RB2 in some ways, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire as running back 3. McKinnon has a lot of different uses, including a receiving back. Now, Pacheco has done a great job this year in taking a leap in that part of his career, but ultimately, McKinnon has been that guy for Mahomes where if he needs somebody to throw on third down, McKinnon has done a great job at route running and a lot of different things. Now, this is no knock on Clyde, but I think McKinnon has done a little bit better job of that. Clyde has become that receiving back and has played very well, but McKinnon coming back could potentially be a huge thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. I do ask you this question, though. I know that he left back a while ago, and now the Chiefs' offense is kind of rolling. Would you want to see him back playing in Super Bowl 58? I want you to let me know in the comment section of today's video. If you want to see Jerick McKinnon playing, then type Y for yes. If you would not like to see him playing, you think the offense is rolling, you don't think they need him, then I want you to type in for no. I'm kind of curious to kind of see what Chiefs Kingdom is thinking about this. Let's talk stats here for just a second, as McKinnon this year only played in 12 games. But in those 12 games, 21 carries for 60 yards. But again, it's not rushing that he really kind of pays his dividends in. It's receiving. This year in just 12 games, 25 receptions, 192 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's a big deal. And on top of which, he has Super Bowl experience. Remember going back to last year, Super Bowl 57 against the Eagles, him sliding down near the goal line to help the Chiefs get the victory. McKinnon could have had a touchdown in a Super Bowl. He could have told his kids, I scored a touchdown. Instead, he chose for the betterment of the team to make sure the Chiefs won the game. That's the guy that I want on my team in Super Bowl 58. Now, obviously, this comes to us at an interesting time. 21-day practice window opening up. We're around 8 days away from Super Bowl 58 against the 49ers. What will Andy Reid do? We don't exactly know. Now, this does mean that McKinnon will most likely travel to Las Vegas and talk with media, and hopefully there we can get a little bit more of an idea of how likely it is if McKinnon will be able to go. I will say this, though. The fact that they are putting him in a practice window, the fact that they are wanting him to be on the practice field, makes me think that there's some sort of knowledge in the Chiefs front office, in the Chiefs coaching staff, that we don't have. We've talked about McKinnon a lot on this show, and as you know, we kind of thought his season was over. It was really highly regarded as, okay, McKinnon is not going to be playing the rest of the year. But McKinnon did tweet out something about this after that was said. He said, really, that's what you think? Maybe he was onto something. Maybe he knew that if the Chiefs could just get back to the Super Bowl, as they have now, that he could be available and he could be on the field. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of hurdles to go through. He has to have a good week of practice. He has to make sure that he's fully healthy. But ultimately, there's a lot of things that could happen in this time period. Pacheco has played well, though, and I think that it's not a knock on McKinnon, but in some ways, if he comes back, he's going to have to know his role. So with Pacheco kind of taking over that really mainstay RB1 bell cow back, now it's up to McKinnon to see, okay, how can he add to this offense? Now, I just want to backtrack here, and obviously he is coming back from injury. What exactly was that injury? It was a groin injury he suffered on December 24th, that's when he was placed on injured reserve, obviously the day before the Chiefs played the Raiders on Christmas. Now, obviously the injured reserve is 4 weeks. It's been well past 4 weeks at this point. But that's how bad the injury was supposed to be. He missed time earlier in the year for a groin injury as well. I believe that was only one game, though. Came back, played, and was supposedly fine. I mean, he looked fine on the field. Patriots game looked great. And then just kind of had that groin injury re-pop up again. So I'm kind of curious to see. Obviously, he hasn't been active on the practice field for a while now. Will he come out and be able to practice? I don't know what extent he's going to be able to come out here. Looking at the stats, though, if we look, McKinnon, who, by the way, only played in 12 games, still has the fifth most rushing yards at 60 yards. He has the third most games played. And if we go to receiving here, that's, again, really where he made his dividends. Let me just tell you how many more people he has more yards than. McKinnon, a running back, played 12 games this year. He has more receiving yards than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, than Kadarius Toney, than Richie James, than Justin Ross, than McCole Hardman Jr. Obviously, these aren't big names, but still the fact that he has that. And he has more touchdowns than Isiah Pacheco receiving, than Sky Moore receiving, than Noah Gray, than MVS, than Justin Watson. The only two people on the team who have more receiving touchdowns than Jerick McKinnon, who, by the way, only played 12 games, is Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. Just imagine the threat you could have down in the red zone if you have McKinnon back. He adds a completely different element to this team and something that the Niners may not be expecting. Obviously, you're trying to come into this game with about any and every possible way to win. Well, with McKinnon potentially back on this squad, that adds for another element. I talked about with the Ravens game, how getting back Mark Andrews at that time was a little scary because you don't know how they're going to play it. Because guess what? Isaiah Likely was playing so well. Were they going to go with two tight end sets? Now, obviously, it didn't really work out that way. Mark Andrews didn't play that much, and maybe that's the way it would go with the Chiefs. But again, it forces the 49ers to start thinking, what are we going to do if McKinnon is going to be able to play? What are we going to do if we see him on the field? It's now going to force Kyle Shanahan to actually kind of deep dive a little more into what exactly is going on. Now, it's been 3 years with the Chiefs for Mr. Jerick McKinnon, and he's been a pivotal role. Last year, 17 games, obviously, in the Super Bowl run, 9 touchdowns receiving, 1 touchdown rushing. I know that a lot of this is going to be like, okay, how exactly is McKinnon going to fit in? But I just want you to take a step back for a second and think about what McKinnon could do to Kyle Shanahan, to the way he's going to have to prepare for this game. To me, even if he is not going to play, why not put him on the roster? Why not force Kyle Shanahan to scheme for Jerick McKinnon? Why not have him on the sideline in uniform, being ready to go at a drop's notice? Because ultimately, I've said it all week. I know that Sky Moore, some people don't want him to play. I know Kadarius Toney, some people don't want him to play. But guess what? The more people you have out there, the more ways Kyle Shanahan is going to have to prepare his defense and prepare the way he schemes for the Chiefs. And ultimately, we saw what happened in Super Bowl 54. To me, the Chiefs were the better team, but they were out-schemed for the most part in that first half of the game. But the fourth quarter, they showed exactly what type of team they are. Wasp. We all know the play, and guess what? That's what led to the Chiefs ultimately winning by 11. The more players you have, the more ways you can scheme it up, it's going to be good. Now, I will ask this. Say McKinnon does play. Your running back room is Isiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and potentially 2, La'Mical Pirine, who could stay on the active roster. I want you to rank that running back room compared to the rest of the NFL. So scale of 1 to 10, 1 being least impressive, 10 being most impressive. What would you rank the Chiefs running back room on a scale from 1 to 10 with Isiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and La'Mical Pirine? I'm curious to see what you think, but ultimately, man, I'm just excited. I hope that McKinnon gets his shot, but we'll keep you updated right here on the Chiefs Report. We appreciate you as always, Chiefs fans and Chiefs Kingdom. Peace out.